Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chris Williams here. So, over the last couple of days, I've actually been kind of thinking about, if I could, go back and talk to the, 20-something self, right, about things that would make sense in my life that you should just get, right? Like certain things as a man, you should just get, right? Well, here's what I want to do today. I want to kind of share with you the 5 things I think all men should just get. Number 1, your health is priority 1. Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting is that I think for a lot of us, right, we are willing to do these trade-offs in life. It's always either or, right? Work a nice job that has me on the road and travel many hours, or be at home and take care of my health. But I'm not having both, right? Either be in a good relationship and really take care of it, or just not be in one and only focus on the things I want, right? It's always this either or thing that we're doing always in life. I've learned, especially from my wife, about the power of and, right? So as men, we literally need to make up in our minds that my health is a priority and I'm going to have, the job that I want or whatever. And so when you start talking about your health, I want you to realize your health is really broken down into 4 kind of different parts: your physical wellness, your financial wellness, your mental wellness, and your social wellness, right? So I really think that all of us need to be mindful of that. All 4 are important. But I'm gonna tell you right now, as a man, I didn't know until I lost 65 pounds and started really eating the right way, and started really paying attention to my workouts, and started paying attention to when I fell off, and I didn't realize just how critical and important my health was. I put up a picture recently in some video on my IG, and you can actually go to my Instagram page and go see it. But I did this in my highlights. It's called Fat Selfies. Because I was going through my IG and I noticed there were these pictures of me. My face was blown up. And it had everything to do with the stress and the things that I was going through. But here's what I didn't realize. I didn't realize just how quickly my body was breaking down. And a lot of it just had to do was because, honestly, a lot of times as men, we ignore the very person that's making everything else go, right? We're so used to kind of eating last, so to speak, that we're doing it at the detriment of our health. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you want a better relationship with your wife or your girlfriend, right? Let me tell you something right now. It's not gonna happen if your health is out of order, because you're gonna spend more time in hospitals on pills and not feeling well than you are actually living your full life. So I'm gonna tell you right now, fellas, health is priority 1. Number 2, this one actually I learned really this year. I have figured out that your woman is your alarm clock for your life. Yeah, like, let me break this down, because here's what I figured out. My wife is so dope because, we have a great relationship. We're able to communicate, but she knows, there's things that I certainly value, just being honest and being brutally honest a lot of times in our relationship. And here's what's been crazy. When you're really connected to somebody that loves you and that actually gives a crap about your life as a man, it unlocks you to be open and feel like you can trust and not have to feel like you got to be so hard all the time, right? But the crazy thing is that if you go back and look at every major event that happened in your life, there was probably a woman standing right there sounding the alarm. She was ringing it, letting you know, hey, don't go to that party. Hey, don't go to this thing. Hey, you know what? That person, they seem cool. I just get a bad vibe from them. It was either your mama, it was an auntie, a good girlfriend of yours. It's your wife, it's somebody. I know for me, my wife is my alarm clock for life. She don't get really riled up about much, but the moment I notice she keen in on something, it's like, I might need to pay attention to that, because she don't perk up too much unless something in her is going off. And I think what we don't realize a lot of times as men, the asset that we have in our women is that They've gotten this great gift from God to be able to know something's not right, and their sense of awareness for their protection of the people that they love is sometimes bigger than what we recognize. So I'm gonna tell you right now, for some of us, it's a hard thing to learn, but lean in a little more to the women in your life who actually give a crap about you, because a lot of times what they're trying to help us avoid, or the thing they're pushing us into, is the very thing that's going to allow us to be everything that we ultimately want to be in life. Number 3. Now, this one pertains to those who believe in a spiritual life. You did it without him, but you can't continue without him. Let me explain. You know, there's many of us who are men who, for many reasons, there's just a lot of us who grew up fatherless, right? I grew up without a father. I knew of him. I knew he was abusive. I know the story that my mother told me about why she chose not to go back to him after a seriously traumatic abusive moment. So I've never gotten to know him for real. I saw him again around about 12, saw him again around about 14, and that's been it. Don't really know him. There are many of you like that who are just like me. You grew up fatherless. So, but guess what? You're grown now. You're here. You're living this life that you got, right? And what's crazy about the life that you're living right now is you did it without him. Congrats, my man. Like, you did it without him. You got your family and you solid, right? You started your business and it's moving, right? You got the lady in your life, or you're a single brother and you just out here making it happen. But you did it without him, right? And that should be commended. But on the flip side, right, again, if for those of you who believe in having a real true relationship with God the Father, like I do, I can't do it without him, right? So I did it without him, right? I got the wife, I got the 2 kids, I got the house, I got the car, I got, I got all of that stuff, I got the job. But I can't do this any further without him, right? A lot of times what we think is that, we're self-made. And that's always a term that used to be like real big, like late 90s, early 2000s. Oh, I'm self-made, man. Yeah, but, right? Like your habits, your decision-making, your willingness to grow, that got you where you are. The thing that I think we got to also think about, though, a lot of times is that who's behind the scenes pulling the strings to make those doors open for you. And I'm going to tell you right now, there's a lot of things in my life that, in all of us, I think if we all took a look back, right, there had to be something else happening in order for me to get out of that situation, to get beyond that mental breakdown moment, to get to this thing that I should have never even seen, because there's no reason I should have ran across that person. But somehow me being here at this office, at this shop, at this time, made me a connection, and here I am today. My point is that you've done it without him, your earthly father. But if you really want to be grown and grow and elevate your life, you ain't gonna be able to do it any further without him. You gotta have a spiritual basis by which, because for me, it gives me the principles by which I live my life. Without it, I'm kind of stuck. I'm kind of leaning on what I see in the news. I'm leaning on whatever this guy over here says, and I don't really have a firm foundation. And I think all of us need a foundation, whatever you choose for that to be. I just know that I did it without him, my earthly father. I just haven't been able to do this without having my heavenly father in my life and having a foundation by which I can continue to live my life. Number 4. So here's the deal, guys. The 4th thing that I think every man should get is that every solution doesn't require a hammer. I think we've heard that before, but I think that it's so true about, especially as men, we grow up hard. We grow up having to learn, like we grow up learning things that aren't even real the moment you become a grown man. Like, think about it. You was a hard little boy. You had to be tough and not cry and all this other stuff. To be honest with you, it's actually better for you to have a balance of emotions. I think you kind of figured that out yet now, right? It's actually okay for you to cry. It's actually okay for you to say, I don't know. It's okay for you to ask for help. It's okay. Like, those things are okay. we weren't always taught that as kids, right? And so because of the way we've been taught and the way we grew up, the problem is that what I just see anyway, is that I was taught a certain way and then I applied that same thing to every situation in my life. And thus I ruined a lot of relationships and screwed up a lot of opportunities for myself. Who knows where my life could be had I not just handled every single situation with the same solution. Every problem doesn't require a hammer. You might have grew up tough, but now you got a daughter. So now what? You gonna use those same ways that you grew up with to apply to your daughter? I don't think so, right? Now you got a woman in your life who love you, even though you grew up a certain way, and maybe having somebody close to you wasn't the thing. You're willing to risk losing her, who's actually a good woman, because of what you were taught? I don't think so, right? So we have to learn to adjust, I guess is the point of number 4, right? Like every solution doesn't require a hammer. So there's at times where, like, even as a dad, I'm learning from my wife who's gangster with it a lot of times. I'm learning that, you know what? I'm really upset about what my kids may or may not have done. But sometimes the best answer to the situation is to do nothing. Me, I didn't grow up that way. I grew up, you blow up the whole house, right? I never grew up that way. I didn't see that coming from my mother. So, you know, it's very difficult to know they wrong, to see it, to catch them and all that, but then have to go, not this time. You deal with it internally, all right, cool. Or you wait, right? My wife said something to me that was really dope one day, something we were dealing with our kids, and she said, you know what, Chris, you gotta learn to play chess, not checkers. Now, granted, I know how to play chess. I like chess. But I understood what she was saying. Everything ain't, come on, everything ain't about that. You just wait, right? Sometimes you need to be patient with a solution. Sometimes you do need to go in and deal with a situation. And that's true in life, right? Like, even if you won't run your own business, there might be something on fire, but you might need to step back for a second and realize, what is the root cause of this fire? Because if I don't deal with the root cause, it's gonna keep happening. You see what I'm saying? So every solution don't require a hammer. Number 5. So the 5th thing that every man should get is that, honestly, get help. Yeah, I don't know a better way to say it, but honestly, get help. Something that I've been really thinking about, especially with this year and how tough it has been, is that I wish what was on the news right now, what was breaking news, was men's mental health. For our military, we have the VA, right? For those of us who have not served in the military, we have counselors. And I think that a lot of times as men, because we're used to masking a lot of our emotions, we're used to masking the pressure that we feel, the fear that we feel, the frustrations that we feel. We're used to masking a lot of that. And what we haven't done a really good job at is mastering communication. Learning how to talk out loud about what hurts us, what ails us, what we're worried about, what we're fearful about. And we just keep going. And unfortunately, a lot of times as men, we're acting out in ways that show up, that are letting people around us know something is wrong and you need some help. But a lot of people around us are maybe just might be afraid or uncomfortable to come to us and just be honest and say, hey, listen, Chris, you're kind of off your rocker, right? You know, for some people, you're acting out by the bottle you pick up on a more frequent basis than you probably did before 2020 came. Some of us are acting out in isolation, right? So we're isolating from our family, from our spouse, from our, right? Like we're isolating a lot. Some of us act out by, deflecting, right? There's a lot of ways that as men, we tend to act out when we're under duress, when we're under stress, when we feel pressure. And I just think that, I wanted to end on number 5 because I think for all of us as men, we got to get help. And we got to be honest about when we need the help, right? Just because, our wives or our kids may not understand us in a moment, they don't need to understand everything 100%. They are having an experience with you, though, that they do understand. And sometimes that experience that they're having is not ultimately what we as men want it to do, or have, but remember, you control the culture in your house. You control how your business runs. You control the climate really everywhere you go. You're that powerful. So you have to be mindful that sometimes I need to check up from the neck up. I gotta go find an outside source who is not biased to me, who really doesn't care too much about, anything but helping me navigate through these emotional waters that I have, right? There's lots of great books out there that are good, that you can have, but honestly, sometimes we just need to sit down and go talk to somebody. I'm a huge advocate for counselors. In fact, I went to a counselor for about a good year and a half, and I needed it because I was at a mental point where it was like, man, everything that can go wrong is going wrong, right? And so I just, I want to encourage all men, like, be willing to get help, but don't wait until the whole house is burning down. When you smell smoke, you need to go have that conversation, right? Allow your wife to kind of be your barometer. Like I said, a woman in your life is the alarm clock of life. All right. And sometimes it's okay to ask her, hey, how am I coming across? Right? It's cool to ask that. It's cool to do that. Hey, so those are my things, the 5 things I think every man should get. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to this video. This has been The World According to Chris, your source of content for the grown man in you. Take care, everybody.